Hi, Assalamualaikum, and a very good evening to everyone. So it's good to see everyone again. I think this is our sixth webinar. So come every Friday, we have a live session with all our amazing teachers. But tonight we have our special guest. She's going to help us deliver better for our SPM English SPM paper. So I think we are very excited to have her on the screen today. She's actually Miss Yomana Chandran from SMK Tasek Utara, a very experienced teacher, especially in the field of paper two. So, without further ado, I think I would like to welcome her on screen. Okay, Cikgu Yomana, Miss Yomana. She's gone off. Okay, she's gone off. Okay, so while waiting for her to get ready, I do have some very important information to share with you, especially the things that you should be doing while joining our session tonight. And the first one would be basically of the do's and don'ts that you need to abide by when joining our session. Those are okay. The first one, okay, if you do have any question, okay, if you do have any question, especially when your teacher is presenting today, so please make sure you write the question properly so that we can fully understand what you mean. Only then will we be able to uh, pass the question to our teacher today. Okay, hold on. Okay, and you need to pay undivided attention to our session so that you are not going to miss any important tips and tricks that she's going to deliver. And you can obviously write down notes, you can do the screenshots, and whatever it takes to get all the important information to you and for you to keep. But basically, we have a recorded version of this session. You can just go back to this same URL or the same YouTube link, and then you can watch it later and make it as a revision source for you. And then okay, you can ask any questions. You can write down your question in the live chat box. And last but not least, you can always take breaks in between. Okay, there's no one to tell you need to stay watching us all the time. You can take your break. Feel free to do anything while watching our session today. So it's I think it's going to be a fruitful session with our teacher, yeah, Miss Yomana. So I think Miss Yomana is ready. I'm gonna put her on screen. Hi there, Cikgu Yomana. How are you doing? Can you hear me, Cikgu Yomana?
Hello, Mr. Hari.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm not doing so great. I'm feeling under the weather today. My eyes start to get reddish. I think I'm gonna have an eyesore later on, but I'm still keeping up with the challenges, of broadcasting live. So it's been my pleasure to be able to be with our amazing teachers, and especially knowing that you are going to be with us tonight. Okay, I think Miss Yomana's connection is breaking up, so I think I'm gonna put her backstage, and let's go back. Okay, let's reminisce some of the best moments that we had so far with our live webinar sessions. Okay, so for the past few weeks, I think we had the sejarah bahasa Beliau, and last week was mathematics paper one. I'm not really sure whether it's paper one. I don't remember, but I think it has been fruitful, fruitful sets of sessions that we had, and you have been giving us some good feedback. So thank you for your kind support. We need that, and please subscribe to our channel. So I think we are going to give you a lot more in the future. I think you're getting very excited now because we have for other papers as well, not only the core subjects but also for elective subjects. Next week, I think we're going to bring a lot more elective subjects. So you can always go back to our channel, and then you will find a list of our past live webinar sessions. We also included the specific folder for you to check on the materials that the teachers have shown during the live sessions. I think Miss Yomana is back. Okay.
Hi, I
Just,
think it's my connection.
I think you're doing great so far, so don't worry about the connection. Okay, we'll keep up with that. Okay, so Miss Yomana, without further ado, okay, let's welcome our Miss Yomana with her presentation. So the screen is yours, for Miss Yomana. So when you're presenting, okay, I'll be at the side of your presentation. Maybe I'm gonna turn off my camera and mic as well, but I'll be there. Feel free to be interrupted by my questions because I'm going to go and check on the comments box. If I do find any question, I will just click on it and the question will pop up, and then I will let you know what the question is, and then we'll wait for your clarification on that particular question. So are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, let's go.
Okay. Okay. Hi, good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank PPDJB, SISC Plus, and also Mr. Harin for organizing this session. All right, so today we'll be looking at writing paper, precisely writing short communicative message. Well, I believe this task in writing paper is not something new because this is the same writing component that is tested for both PT3 as well as SPM. So I can assure you that the technique that I'm about to share with all of you today can be used by all pupils from all levels, from Form 1 to Form 5. All right, before I get into the technique, I believe that all candidates deserve to know two main things regarding a task. Number one, you need to know the definition of the task itself. And number two, you deserve to know how a particular task is being assessed. Only then you will be able to choose the best technique to help you in answering the task. All right, so before I get into my technique, so I'll be explaining to you by defining what it means by short communicative message. Also, I will be sharing with you about an overview of assessment skill. At the same time, I'll be also sharing with you some tips on how can you identify the descriptors used in assessment skill of this task for you to identify the elements easily, which will definitely help you in answering the task. All right? Okay, so let's look at the definition first. When we say short communicative message, the word short, it refers to short response, whether it is for PT3 or for SPM. If you see and compare this task with the other task, this task requires the candidates to write the least number of words compared with the other two tasks for SPM. So for SPM, the candidates are required to write about 80 words. So many times I come across candidates asking if they could write more than 80 words. Definitely you may, but one thing that you need to bear in mind is that the entire paper only allows you to answer within 1.5 hours. And so you need to prioritize the task according to the requirement. So you need to see whether or not it is worth spending longer time to answer each task. All right, so let's go to the next part, which is communicative message. When I talk about communicative message, it refers to conveyance of information or ideas via writing. So when we put these two together, it means that it is a piece of writing in the form of short response that is intended to convey either in an information or any idea via writing communicatively. All right, so here I would like to highlight three important elements. Number one, short response. Number two, the conveyance of information or idea. Number three, communicatively. So these are the three elements that are highlighted in short communicative message. It is at most important for the candidates to know the definition of these tasks. So it actually gives you a clear picture about the requirement of the task. All right? Okay, so let's look. This is the answer template. All right, so this was taken from LPM's answer booklet. Okay, so just a piece of advice for all candidates: please ensure that when you are writing your response, please try not to go out of the space provided, right? Because I have seen before candidates drawing a lot of arrows from the space provided and writing their responses. This might actually create confusion for your examiner. All right, so try to write within the space provided, just a piece of advice. Okay, all right, so let's look at the writing assessment scale range. When we talk about short communicative message, which is part 1 of your writing paper in SPM, the one that I had circled, you could see that the scale range of the task is between A1 to B1, with A2 being the midpoint. All right, so when you compare it with the other two tasks, you're able to see that this task is at the lowest scale range, which makes it easier to be answered by all candidates regardless of what category you belong to. All right, to make things evident, you could also see that the scale range is equivalent to PT3 Part 1 and also UPSR Part 3. So fret not, do not worry, do not think that this is a difficult task for you to write. All right, just see how easy it could be answered. Okay, so this is just an overview of writing assessment scale range for your information. You need to know about the scale range precisely for each task that you are giving answer for. All right, the next one, this is writing assessment scale. Okay, this is focusing on SPM paper, task 1, task 2, and task 3. Okay, over here, I would like to highlight the descriptors used to assess each writing task. If you see the similarities, number 1, the similarities are for each task, the same descriptors are used. And the next similarity would be each descriptor is given 5 marks. So making it up to a total of 20 marks per task. However, something for you to take note here. If you obtain 20 marks in your task 1, that doesn't mean it is same for 20 marks in task 2 or 20 marks in task 3. The reason is because you could see there is a difference in scale from one task to the other. All right? So please do not get surprised if your teacher awards you with 20 marks for task 1 but not 20 marks for the other 2 tasks, because the reason is the description of the descriptors. It differs from one scale to the other. Okay, so this is an overview of how your task is being assessed. All right, from here, we will develop either a technique, an approach, a formula, a method to help you answer the questions at ease. All right, so that is the reason you need to know about how a particular question or task is defined and how it is being assessed, so that you would be able to choose the best technique for you to answer easily. All right. Okay, so let's look at the descriptors. Now we are already moving towards getting to know the technique that I'm about to share with all of you. But before that, I'm going to talk about these descriptors, and also I'm going to share tips with all of the candidates on how can you identify the descriptors by just reading the question. All right, so let's go to the first descriptor.
Miss Yomana?
Okay, this is, yes, Mr. Harry.
We have a question here. Maybe I missed this one. The question
All right.
says, okay, what's an A1, A2, B1, B2, and a C1?
All right, so these are all skills given according to CFR aligned curriculum. Okay, so it is CFR aligned curriculum skills given to candidates for each skill that they are going to tackle. Okay, so we are no longer using, for English, we are no longer using scales like A, B, C, D. For
Okay, that's good
English,
to
it
know.
is A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2.
Okay, get that. Okay, to all audience that are watching us tonight, okay, if you do have any question, even if you feel like you are not, although we say that you need to write your question properly, but if you feel not so confident enough to write your question in proper English, you can ask us even in mixed language, even with interference of your mother tongue should be fine. We'll try our best to try to bring your question up. Okay, so feel free to ask us anything. Do not hesitate. Okay, Ms. Yomana, I think you would agree with me. Okay, okay, let's continue with your presentation.
Definitely. All right. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the first descriptor. When we talk about content, it is about task fulfillment. So this is the keyword that you need to focus. All right. Task fulfillment. Whether or not you have answered the question. So we look at about how fully or selectively a question is answered. Okay, so marks are
Mm.
awarded according to the relevancy of the content to the task. So we look at your content and we look at how have you answered the question, right? Is it relevant or not? So here, 5 marks will be awarded if all content given are relevant to the task. 3 to 4 marks if there is any minor irrelevancy or omission. 1 to 2 marks if there are irrelevances or the candidate doesn't answer the task as you're supposed to. 0 marks if it is totally irrelevant or no response at all. Okay, so this is all you need to know about content. So let's see how to identify the descriptor content when you read the question. All right, so here I am with a sample question for you. So let me read the question. You received an email from your cousin, Adlina, who wants to further her studies. Hi, I'm attending an online talk about studying abroad. I'm excited to further my studies. Where shall I go to? What course is suitable for me? Who do you think can guide me in this? I appreciate your advice. Bye, Adlina. So this is actually a sample question. So the one that I had highlighted, the one in the bracket, this is actually called frame of questions. Right? I repeat the term frame of questions. So in order for you to obtain the content marks, number one, you have to identify the frame of questions in the question given. And number two, you need to respond to these questions. Right? So this is actually the tips for you to get your content marks accurately and appropriately. Okay, so I hope that it is clear for all of you now on how to score marks for your content. All right, so let's move to the next descriptor, which is communicative achievement. All right, talking about communicative achievement, the key word here would be appropriateness. It is about appropriateness and mechanism of writing. Communicative achievement, or in short, CA, is actually a combination of 3 different aspects. Number one, it is text type. Number two, intelligence of the ideas. And number three, how clearly the ideas are explained. All right, meaning to say, if you are asked to write an email, then it should look like an email from the start until the end of your response. Never once it should go out of the email context. Right? There is a tendency sometimes it gets out of context, as in, out of sudden in the midst of your writing, it might start look like a report or an article. So that is the meaning of text type, or that is the meaning of communicative achievement in terms of appropriateness and mechanism of the writing. It refers to the style of writing. All right. So marks are awarded according to the register and style of writing. Also, it includes the tone of writing. If you are asked to advise, you need to make sure that your response is in the form of an advice. If you are asked to suggest, you need to ensure that your response is in the form of suggestion. All right. So that is related to communicative achievement. So 5 marks are awarded if you communicate straightforward ideas appropriately. Let me highlight the word appropriately. All right, 3 to 4 marks if you are able to communicate simple ideas in simple ways. Okay, 1 to 2 marks if the entire response doesn't resemble a communicative text. As I mentioned to you, if it doesn't look like an email at all, then you will fall into the category of either 1 to 2 marks. All right, so again, let's refer to the question on how can you identify the text type and also the tone of your writing. So again, this is the same question. So here I have highlighted 2 words. One is email and the other one is advice. So these words are related to communicative achievement, which also mechanism of writing, the style of your writing. All right? So from here, you are able to conclude that with your question, you can actually learn how to score better in each descriptor. All right? Okay, let's go to the next descriptor. The third descriptor is called organization. All right? Here, the keyword is about structure of the writing. So this focuses on the coherence and how the ideas are put together. So as you respond, we are looking at your ideas, whether they are in sequential form or not, whether they are all well organized or not. Here, the examiners would definitely want to read your response once and try to understand what you are trying to convey. If you let the examiners reread your response a few times, then something has gone wrong with your organization. Perhaps they were unable to comprehend what you are trying to convey. All right?
Miss Yomana,
So there are 4 important elements. Yes?
we have another question. Okay, have you finished? Finish up your last sentence. Sorry. Okay, there is a question here. Okay, the question is, teacher, how to get some ideas for short writing messages, for short writing message. Okay, if the idea,
Sorry, what is it? How to get?
how to get some ideas for short writing, for short
How to
message,
get idea for short, right?
writing message. Okay, so if the idea is touching
Okay,
just a
I
little
think
bit
I'm
on the piece, I think you get the idea, right?
I think I get the idea. All right. If you
Okay, all
just
right then.
touch a bit, all right. Allow me to go back to the previous slides. Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Harin. All right.
okay.
Let me just show you. I think I get what you're trying to say. Okay, it is
Little
about
massage, huh?
content. If let's say you just touch a bit, okay, that is what we call as omission. All right, because
Okay.
you're supposed to give specific response. So if you just touch a bit, meaning to say, all right, this question here, allow me to give you an example. All right, here the question asks on what course is suitable for me. So if you just state in your writing superficially by saying there are a lot of courses available in university that you have to choose one. If you just say
Mhm.
it that way, that is what I believe you meant as touch a bit, then definitely you are not eligible for the 5 marks because it is what we call as omission. So here, as the question asks you on what course is suitable for me, you need to specifically give an answer for that question. All right?
Okay.
I hope that I
What
had
about
answered the question from the student.
what about using idioms or proverbs in short communicative essay?
All right. Here, this is about idioms and proverbs. All right. Allow me to
Mhm.
complete organization first, then I will answer your question because this comes
Okay.
under language. All right.
So
Thank
we'll go
you,
back to it.
Juanita N, for your question.
Uh-huh. Carry on.
All right. So here, I think I was talking about organization. Okay. All right. There are 4 elements which are related to organization. Okay. Number 1, it is about paragraphing. Paragraphing is a tool that is used to organize ideas. For me, I need to see paragraphs in essay. An essay without paragraphs, I don't know what the candidate is trying to convey, as we are unable to see your ideas properly arranged. All right, so that is the importance of paragraphing, as we could see the introduction, the content, the conclusion clearly when you use paragraphing. All right. Next, it is about punctuation marks. Punctuation marks meaning to say full stop, comma, question mark. So you're supposed to put them at specified places, not all over the place, because I've seen also sometimes candidates, they do not know the real use of comma, they put it everywhere. So punctuation marks are supposed to help in organization of ideas rather than hinder the reading. Okay, the other two elements, cohesive devices and linking words. As for short communicative message, as for your question on email, I do not advise you to put in a lot of cohesive devices or a lot of linking words. All right, because they seem to be unnecessary when you are trying to communicate via writing. However, if it is necessary, try to use it minimally. All right, by using perhaps 1 to 2, that is enough. So the difference between cohesive devices and linking words, all right, allow me to explain. Linking words is the basic form of cohesive devices, such as the words and, but. Cohesive devices, the words are such as a result, moreover. So you need to use them appropriately if they are necessary in your writing short communicative message. So marks are awarded according to how the ideas are connected. Right? Whether or not the examiners are able to read your ideas properly. All right. So here, 5 marks are awarded if the candidates use simple connectors and limited number of cohesive devices. Let me stress, limited number of cohesive devices. All right. It doesn't mean that you need to put in cohesive device like in every sentence of your response. Not necessary at all. All right, throughout the entire response, as long as you have like 1, that is sufficient, 1 to 2. Okay, 3 to 4 marks are awarded if you use basic high frequency connectors to connect the ideas. All right, and 1 to 2 marks will be awarded if your response is not well connected. Okay, the ideas in your response is not well connected. So
Okay.
let's see
What about
about organization.
what about using short forms? Will the essay be penalized or
All right, short
just not,
form.
mm, just not to be counted or will
Okay,
not be
short
awarded with
form.
any marks? Mm-hmm.
All right, okay. Talking about short form, this comes under language again. So
That's
I
fine.
think I
Okay.
will answer
Let's carry
these
on.
2 questions later in language descriptor. Okay,
Noted.
one is on idioms and proverbs, the other one is on
Full
short
stop.
form. All right, I
Okay.
think they are very anxious to know about this. All right, thank you for asking me questions. All right, at least I know there are people who are listening. All right, thank you. Okay, so let's say, dear candidates, if you still do not know, teacher, how am I supposed to arrange my ideas? All right, fret not. You have your question as your savior. You just follow the structure of how the question is given to write your response. So to make it easy for you to see it clearly, I have already labeled the question. It is the same question, all right? As how it begins with with greetings here. So when you respond, you begin with greetings as well. All right. And then your content would be you answering the questions in the frame. I hope you still remember the term frame of questions, the one that I had highlighted. So in your content, in your response, you're supposed to answer these questions. So once you're done answering these questions, then you write your closing, very simple closing, and then your sign off. So you just follow the structure given in the question to write your response. If you go blank or if you don't know how to write it at all, how to make sure that your ideas are well organized, just follow the structure of the question. You will never go wrong. All right? Okay. So this is the third descriptor. Now, this is the most awaited descriptor, I believe. I had 2 questions already about language. Talking about language, this is the last descriptor. This is about language competency in your writing skill. The focus is on grammar and vocabulary. Okay, marks are awarded according to the effective use of vocabulary and grammar according to the context. All right, so 5 marks are awarded if you use basic vocabulary appropriately. Let me stress this, appropriately, and you have good control in simple grammatical forms. 3 to 4 marks are awarded if you use basic vocabulary reasonably, right? Meaning to say there are vocabulary here and there. And you have some control in grammatical forms, right? Meaning to say your errors are here and there as well, okay? Minimal errors. 1 to 2 marks are awarded if you produce basic vocab of isolated words and you have limited control in grammar, if the errors are evident. All right, so language is your own capability, right? Because we need to know where is the level of your grammar and your vocabulary. You might be a person who has memorized the entire dictionary, but that doesn't mean that when you write your response, you need to use all the words, all the bombastic words that you have ever known. You need to refer to the context of the question. Are those words necessary or not? So that is the reason for short communicative message, we just look at how basic vocabulary you are using. All right? Okay, answering to the 2 questions. Okay, talking about short form. For language use, you have 2 different languages. One is formal language, one is informal language. When it comes to informal language, the candidates are allowed to use contraction. Right, short form as in, I think you are talking about contraction, but please correct me if I misinterpret your question. You are allowed to use contraction. Okay, example of a contraction, let's say I am. So you may write I apostrophe am for informal language use. Let me stress, for informal language use. All right, as for formal, you are not allowed to use the contraction. Okay, I think I answered the first question. Okay, talking about idioms and proverbs. Let me ask you a question. When you communicate with your family members, with your friends, do you use proverbs? Do you ask your friends, I hope you are in the pink? Let's say you're meeting your friend for a long time. As you meet, do you ask your friend, hi, how are you? I hope you're in the pink. Do you ask your friend that? I bet you don't. All right. So proverbs and idioms are unnecessary when you write response for short communicative message, because we are looking at how casual, how friendly you are when you are communicating with your friends or family via writing. You need to
What?
sound natural when you are writing. You need
So
to
what if?
sound realistic.
Okay, Miss Yomana, sorry to interrupt you. So what if the students misspelled the word, but I think it is still
Uh-huh.
understandable. It's just a little bit of maybe um, misspelling. So what about that? Is it going to be penalized? Will this might be deducted?
Okay, if
What about
it's just a
this one?
slip, let's say if it's just a slip of an error, no, we have slips, we call these as slips. Like, let's say accidentally you write, we don't calculate the number of errors that you make. We do not calculate
Mhm,
like how many words do you misspell. All right, we do
mhm,
not have that assessment yet. That is not the way we assess. We do not calculate. So if it's just like first slip, then it's okay, we
mhm.
accept. All
What
right,
about
because we
using
do not count like how many errors you make and then we penalize according to the number of errors you make. No, we look at
Mhm,
it holistically. Like in language aspect, we look at it wholly. All right,
right?
but if it's distorted, if we can't comprehend the meaning, then your marks go down.
Try to minimize the mistakes, yeah. So that's what it is all
Yeah.
about. So what about using greetings phrases like "How are you?" Like, and then casually saying
Mhm.
that in the essay. Will it? Is it okay? Will it still get
Come again,
marks?
sorry,
Okay. What if the
is this
students
question?
use greetings phrases like saying "How are you?"
Mm-hmm.
in that message? Is it okay? Is it allowed?
Yes, definitely can. Like, you may ask, how are you? How have you been? Just that, but do not do not keep asking like, how are you? How are your family members? How are your neighbors? Just short and sweet. That's enough.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, carry on.
All right. Okay. So these are what I've been explaining about descriptors. All this while, I've been explaining about descriptors. So I believe that right now, the candidates might have a clearer picture of how to look for descriptors by just reading the question. Except for language, this is your own competency. All right. So here, these are the writing assessment descriptors with the keywords just for your information. All right. So if you want to keep this as your notes, you may just screenshot. As for content, it is related to task fulfillment. As for communicative achievement, it is about appropriateness of writing. As for organization, it is related to structure of writing. And finally, for language, it is related to grammar and vocabulary. All right. As you have read the question, as you have identified the descriptors, now is the prime time for you to know the technique SALT. Right? So SALT, SALT is actually a technique that is designed to help you get as much information as possible from the question itself so that you do not go out of context and out of content while answering. All right. So introducing to you SALT. S here stands for situation. A here stands for audience. L stands for language. And T stands for task. So my suggestion to all candidates, once you have received the question booklet, you just open the booklet and then you just list out SALT before reading the question. Because as you read the question, you will start to fill in the information needed for each element present in the formula. All right, rather than technique, I'm used to call it as formula. All right, so if I say formula, it means salt. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
So, Miss Yomana,
So talking about salt here,
Miss Yomana,
each element has its own explanation. Yes?
okay, there's another one here. Okay, so most of the question will be in the form of email, right? So will the format of the email be given, or students have to make sense of it and then try to come up with a proper email format? I'm not sure. I'm not so sure whether this question is
Okay.
sensible enough.
All right, it's okay. All right, thank you for the question. All right, so I
Mhm.
need to rewind a bit. Okay, so this is how the template is given. So you do not need to set up your own format. All you need to do is just start writing your response within the space provided here. You do not need to come up with any format.
Mhm. Okay.
All right. Okay, so may I continue?
Yeah, with the salt. So audience is whom you are writing to, right? I can see you have situation, audience, language, and
Okay,
task.
all right.
So does audience refer to whom you are writing to?
All right, to whom you are writing to. Okay. So talking about salt,
Mm.
may I continue, Mr. Harry? Or
Yes,
was there
yes,
any
of course.
question?
No, no more. There are, but I think you can continue.
All right, okay. So talking
Okay.
about salt, so each element here has its own explanation. When we are talking about situation, it refers to first who is the sender and why does he or she send the email to you. So we are looking at what is the underlying issue in the question itself. So from there, that's when we can plan our response. All right, so that is what situation means. All right, next one, next element, when we talk about audience, we are actually referring to the recipient. Who receives your email? When you write your response, who receives the response? This is important because this element answers the question on your style of writing as well as the language used. All right. So L stands for language. Okay. Here you are going to determine whether you are going to use informal language or formal language, depending on the recipient of your response. And finally, T, which stands for task. Over here, we are looking at the frame of questions. I hope the candidates have not forgotten what is frame of questions, the one that I had highlighted in the question just now. So the task is for you to look at the frame and answer those questions in the frame. So this is how we apply the formula called SALT when we read the question. So we list out the formula, and as we read the question, we fill in the information. All right. So here, let me show you how relatable each element in the formula is to the descriptor in the assessment scale. First, as for situation, it is related to content, the descriptor called content, because you're supposed to know the underlying issue in the question. All right. Next, when we talk about audience, the related descriptor is communicative achievement, because the audience will tell you which style of writing you're going to use, which tone are you going to use. All right. Next, when we talk about language, yes, the descriptor related is definitely language. All right. And finally, when we talk about task, it is related to number one, organization, as how you are going to answer the frame of questions. So you need to be in the form of sequence, or in the form of, you must be sequential when you answer the responses, when you answer the questions, right? And then the content, we are looking at content to ensure that all your responses are relevant to the task, right? And finally, the communicative achievement to ensure that if it's email, it is email throughout. If you're supposed to advise, you are advising throughout. If you're supposed to suggest, you are suggesting throughout your response. All right? So here we are. I'm going to show you a sample question, and also I'm going to show you how to apply the SALT formula into the question and how to write a response. All right, so I hope all candidates are ready. I've read the question just now, so I would like to read it one more time, but maybe on a quicker pace. You received an email from your cousin Atlina who wants to further her studies. Hi, I'm attending an online talk about studying abroad. I'm excited to further my studies. Where shall I go to? What course is suitable for me? Who do you think can guide me in this? I appreciate your advice. Bye. So once you have read the question, number one, you are going to identify the descriptors. So here you will be highlighting your content first, the frame of questions, and then you will be highlighting your communicative achievement elements, the word email, the word advice, and then you are going to start planning your writing by using the formula SALT. So this is the formula. As for presentation purpose, I had already put in the information in the table, but during your examination, it is not necessary for you to draw the table. You may just list it out. So talking about situation, I hope you still remember the explanation. So the first question is, who is the sender? So the sender is Atlina. Next one, what is the underlying issue for her to send you an email? The reason behind the question. So the reason is she wants to further her studies in abroad. All right. Next, in relation to A as audience, the explanation is, all right, who is the recipient? It is your cousin, who is your family member. So what kind of text are you going to write to her? It is an email. In what style? Okay, when we are writing it to our family or friend, we must sound casual and friendly, right? And what kind of tone are you going to use in your writing? Advice. So these are the information that you need when you are thinking about the audience, right? Okay, next part, language. So there are two types of languages that I mentioned. One is formal, the other one is informal. As this is an email sent to your cousin, then therefore you will be using informal language. All right, when we talk about informal language, these are the elements that you may include in writing your response. Number one, contraction. I explained with an example just now. The other one, reference pronoun, meaning to say instead of repeating the name of your cousin, you may use reference pronoun to replace. Okay, number three, question tags. Okay, later I will show you what is a question tag, but this question tag is a grammar element that has been taught, okay, to all candidates before. And the other one is phrasal verb.
I think Miss Yomana's line is breaking up. Okay, we are still waiting for her to get back on our live session. So I think some of you have shared with us your questions. Unfortunately, we have a very limited time, so we are not able to really display all your questions on screen. So we only pick some questions. So please, you can also play your part by helping us reply to your friends' questions. Sometimes they just, I think they've just started watching our show tonight, and maybe just need to repeat what the answers should be. Okay, while waiting for her to come back, all right, please remember you're not allowed to use vulgar language because this is a formal platform, and we do appreciate for your time for joining us in this session. So we've got a lot of questions here. Some of you are not so confident enough to speak in mixed language or probably use proper English. Just ask us anything, even in Bahasa, but try to use English as much as possible. But I think we get what you mean. You want to ask more about using the different styles of English. Sometimes you just use short forms and then use contractions, like when you say you are, and then you say you are, without the proper R-A-R-E. So we get that. It is noted. I will ask her once she comes back. Okay, we get a lot of questions as well. So for your information, we do prepare all the materials that have been shared in our webinars in a folder, in a Google Drive folder. You just click on the link. I think I'm going to post the link in the chat box. So please click on the link, and then you can find some of the useful materials that probably will help you prepare for your SPM. So to all our wonderful 2021 candidates, please watch our shows, and I believe that you will get something from there. Okay, all right, she's not here yet. Okay, there are some rough usernames here, so I'm gonna block them. Okay, all right, let me display to you what the link is. Okay, I think if you can find the moving text down here, it says you can click on the bit.ly/bws BWSPMJB21. I repeat, it's supposed to be bit.ly/BWSPMJB21. So you will find in the folder a lot of um, reference materials, and also whatever that has been annotated by your teacher while discussing with all of you during the session will also be there in a PDF format. So you might want to print it. You might want to keep it in your phones so that you can refer to it whenever you need one. Okay. Yes, Nurul Bakis, this is being recorded, so you can go back to this same to the same YouTube link that you have clicked on earlier. That brings you here, and then you can watch as many times as you wish. Okay, let me go back to the. Okay, I promise you that I'm going to click on the question on the link. Mhm. Okay, so please check out our live chat box. That's where you can find the link, and I'll go back to our YouTube channel, and I will pin it so that you can find it easily on the live chat on the top there. HTTPS. Okay. I think you can click on the link that I've just posted. Okay. It's a full URL. You just click on it. Okay. All the materials will be there, including the one that we have for tonight. So I go to our YouTube channel will pin it. Will pin the message. Okay. While waiting for that, can you give us some feedback on our past shows, on our past webinar sessions? How do you find them? Have they been helpful to you as reference videos? They've been helping you. Have you checked on our other videos as well? We had Bahasa Melayu, and then we had sejarah so far. Yes. Okay. Okay. So you need more time for our session, yeah? So probably we'll consider to make our session to last for about 1 hour and a half. Probably we just need more time. Even the teacher has to reply to, even the teacher has to clarify some of your questions. That's the main point. That's the whole point of having this webinar, is to help you, clarify on certain things. Only then will we be able to really help you to score better for your paper. Okay. I think it's quite some time now. She's not here yet. Mm-hmm. Please stay tuned. I think we can give her 5 more minutes. Okay. You can still chat in the live comment box there. You can just ask us anything. I will note down some of the important questions that you might want to get some explanation on. Once she comes back, I will ask her the questions. Okay. I will only pick some, so please make sure your questions are good enough and relevant enough to what she has explained earlier. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right, Bobby. So I'm gonna display some of your wonderful comments here. So marks won't be deducted if you exceed the number of words, but if you don't finish writing the 3 essays with the time limit, you will lose marks. Let's check on that. Okay. This is my first time visiting this channel. Okay, so Nur Hafiza, don't forget to check on our other videos. They've been really, really great. In SPM, does exceeding the limit for words decrease your marks? Okay, we'll find out. Okay, Miss Yomana, can you hear me? Hi, Miss Yomana, are you there?
Hi.
Ah,
Yeah, I'm here.
okay.
I
While
didn't know I was
waiting,
out.
okay, while waiting for your presentation to appear, there is a question here.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
All right.
this person asked me because I was the one who's been asking question. Okay, sir, in SPM, does exceeding the limit for words decrease your mark? Do they decrease their mark,
Mm-hmm.
their essay mark? If you write more than you're supposed to,
All
will your
right.
mark be
Definitely
deducted?
no.
Mhm. Like again, they will be awarded holistically. Is that what you're saying? Never mind. You can just continue with the presentation.
All right. Just to
Continue.
answer the question, or has it been answered?
Not yet. Exceeding the time limit for words decrease your mark. Do they
Okay,
decrease your
someone
mark?
asked about exceeding the limit of words, right? All right. You
Mhm.
may exceed the limit of words given.
Mhm. Okay.
All right, just to answer the question, you may exceed the word limit, but you have to remember that you only have 1.5 hours to
Mhm.
answer the 3 tasks. So you need to prioritize your tasks, okay?
Okay.
Because the other
Right.
2 tasks need longer responses. So you need to ensure that the other 2 tasks are also given time to answer.
Okay.
Okay, but definitely there is no reduction. There's no marked reduction if you exceed the word limit.
So, Miss Yomana, let's not waste any more time. So, I won't be picking any more questions. So you can proceed as you wish. All right. So, okay, the screen is yours now. Okay, proceed.
Okay, so as I was talking just now, I was explaining about the content. So this is a sample short communicative message response. I've classified it according to introduction, content, and also conclusion and sign off. All right. Okay, so here this follows the structure of GIRCS. So it begins with greetings followed by the introduction and then response 1, 2, 3. This is from the frame of questions, and finally the closing and sign off. So here is a sample that you could write. All right. So first for greetings, you may begin with the same greetings given in the question. Hi, but I've just added the name with a comma. So here I'm highlighting the use of punctuation marks. Next, as for introduction, just to respond to the first two sentences. I'm attending an online talk about studying abroad. I'm excited to further my studies. So just to respond to those two lines, I have just stated, it's great to hear from you. Congratulations. So this is my introduction. All right. So to highlight the grammatical form here, I have used a contraction, and then I've kept it short with congratulations. All right. Okay, moving on to the next part, the content. Okay, content here consists of responses for the questions in the frame given. So there are 3 questions altogether. So I have written here as I'm excited to know that you wish to study abroad. Well, University of Nottingham in United Kingdom will be the best choice of all. So this is my first response to respond to the question, where shall I go to? And then followed by, moreover, here I would like to highlight the use of cohesive device. Moreover, I know that you love to go there and it is world renowned too. You have been interested in psychology, haven't you? So this is my response to answer what course is suitable for me. So I told just now that I will be showing you an example of question tag. So this is a question tag. All right, a question being tagged in the use or in an affirmative sentence. All right, and then so why not go for it? So I've added a question in my response to make it casual as how I talk to my family and friends. All right, and also finally, as for response 3, okay, to answer the question on who do you think can guide me in this. Also, I have started the sentence with a cohesive device. Uncle Benjamin is just a call away as he had graduated from there too. All right. So the word call away here, it is an example of phrasal verb that you may include when you're writing your response. So here, as you follow the label GIRCS, so you are able to answer step by step in sequence without overlooking any question, any idea, or any information. All right. So as we are done with greetings, introduction, and also the responses, the last part would be conclusion. As for closing, I have given you 3 sentences as an example. Hope to hear from you soon. Send my regards and love to all at home. Take care. You may choose either one if you do not want to use all 3. All right. As long as there is a closing written to close the email successfully. All right. Appropriately. And then finally, after your closing, you sign off with your name written. All right. So this is actually the way for you to respond by using both SALT and also as for organization, the formula GIRCS. Okay. So with that, that is the end of my presentation today. All right. I would like to ask if there are any more questions from the candidates.
I think we can allow for about 2 questions. So take this opportunity to ask your proper question. We will only allow two because it's already time. So come on, okay,
Mhm.
ask your questions. Okay. We're still waiting for them to write
Any
down the
question?
questions because earlier I said we are not accepting any more questions. Okay, teacher for the closing and then
Uh-huh.
okay, we have two here. Okay, does
Uh-huh.
contraction count as one word or two?
Come again, sorry. Does
Does
contraction? Oh,
contraction
okay, the
count
word, the
as one
question
word
is
or two?
here. Two.
So, okay,
I think the candidates are worried about number of words, right?
yes,
You do not need to
definitely.
worry about number of words. You write your response as you're supposed to.
Mm-hmm. I'm not so sure what is meant by this question, but it says, can we use the same technique for paper two and paper three?
I think the candidate is trying to ask about part two and part three. I think that is
Okay.
misinterpretation, not paper two, paper three, part two and part three, I think. All right, by all means, if you're able to use this technique, you are welcome to do so. All right, I'm yet to test this, but as far as what I had tested with my pupils in the school, this technique can be used to answer writing of report and writing of article for part three. Okay, so definitely you may.
Okay, so I think that's all for today, yeah, Miss Yomana. Do you have any other advice you would like to offer to our candidates this year? Is there any more very, very important message that you wish to uh, deliver to your to your viewers tonight?
All right. I hope that whatever technique that I had shared just now will be beneficial and helpful for all of you. All right. My sincere
Mhm,
apology. I think the internet connection is something unpredictable. All right. However, I think
mhm.
I managed to convey whatever that I wanted to say. All right. Just a piece of advice to all candidates: never consider English language as a tough subject. Right. It's all
Mhm.
in your mentality. You need to put in your effort. Okay, so just try your best, just do your best, and all the best for SPM.
Okay, thank you, Miss Yomana. I think it's already 10 o'clock. So before we sign off, we would like to remind you to subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and watch as frequent as many times as possible. And then for your information, next week we're gonna have for English paper one, we're gonna have English paper one. Who's going to deliver that? Okay, please wait for our poster and our message. We'll get you know we'll inform you later through our Telegram groups. Um, or ask your teacher who will be the panel for next week. Okay, they will get information from our respective officers. Yeah. So thank you so much, Miss Yomana, for accepting our invitation to be on our webinar tonight. So it has been a wonderful session. I really appreciate your effort in helping us to score better for the paper. Not only did I learn how to see a good communicative essay, but I also learned to better my writing skills. So next time I know how I should be writing in my emails. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Yomana. I think she's breaking up again. Okay. All right. I think that's all for today. So we're gonna wave you goodbye, and please uh, watch us again next week with English Paper One. Bye. Okay.